Thank you. I got an audition for Spielberg's movie, Hook, as a pirate. And when I got there, they had like generic pirate lines for us to read. Shiver me timbers, up the mainsail, bosun. And I thought, oh, to hell with that. I am going to be different. So I told a joke, a pirate joke. Two pirates meet on the street. Black Dog looks at Redbeard and he says, you know, I haven't seen you for years, but you're not looking good. Redbeard goes, you mean the leg? He said, well, that, yeah. What happened? He said, well, there was a big cannonball, hit the mast fell down, cut off me leg, right below the knee. Fortunately, there were a big bucket of boiling tar right there, so he cauterized the stump, and the ship's carpenter took part of that mast, and he carved it into this wooden leg. He said, that's amazing, Redbeard, really. So what happened to your hand? Oh, the hook? Yes. He said, well, I were fighting off Barbados, and some dastardly cur was about to run me through when one of my shipmates hit him with a grappling iron. The cutlass flew out of his hand, up in the air, right down, cut me hand off, right at the wrist. Fortunately, there were a bucket of boiling tar right there. So I cauterized the wound, and the ship's blacksmith fashioned a hook out of that very cutlass. Whoa, Redbeard, that's amazing. You better tell me, what happened to your eye? Oh, the patch? Yeah. Well, that was funny, you know. It was a lovely day, sailing along, blue skies, little fluffy white clouds, and up high there were a seagull. And that little seagull took a crap, and some of it fell in my eye. Black Dog stopped. He said, wait a minute, Redbeard. You're telling me that you lost your eye because you got a bit of bird shit in it? He said, well, the first day I had the hook. Apparently, they were not as nearly as amused as you were because I never heard from them again. And about 3 months later, I was in New York and I had a job with a friend of mine called Rick. And we were writing a romantic comedy, a movie, for a couple who had made an immense amount of money on a late-night TV show called Love Lines. And now they wanted to be movie producers. So they brought us to New York, they gave us an office in Herald Square, and we wrote the movie. And about 3 weeks, we had a draft of it, and so we read it to them, and they gave us their notes, which were, you've mentioned drug use in this. We don't want any drug use. We want no explicit sex, just implied. And could we make the one black character white? Well, as you know, we're not in this for integrity, so we immediately went to work. And then the phone rang, and I was offered a one-day scene on Hook. And I thought, wow, being different paid off, you know? So I decided to pay the money for a round-trip ticket back to L.A. and back, because I said, come on, it'll take up most of the money that I'll make, but it's a Spielberg movie, you know? So I said to Rick, I'll be back in a couple of days. I went there, I was dressed as a pirate, and 7 days later, they got around to actually shooting the scene. They shot it, they finished it. It took about an hour. They did it from different angles, none of which, as far as I could tell, I was in. And I said, so can I leave now and go back to New York? And the AD said, no. Stephen has an idea with a scene where you have a sword fight with Robin Williams. I went, whoa. He said, yeah, be good. But I don't think it'll happen for a couple of weeks because we got 100 extras coming in tomorrow for a battle scene. So I called up Rick and I explained that I probably wasn't coming back for a little bit. I could see my future stretching ahead every day, dressed as a pirate. And we finished the movie on the phone. He handed it in, and he flew back to L.A. Every day for me was the same. I would go to the studio, where I was then made up. Scars, tattoos, they browned out all my teeth. I put a bandana around my head, and then I would go and sit in a large room with a load of other men, all dressed as 17th century pirates, and we would drink coffee, read the L.A. Times, and watch Oprah. And then Rick called up one day and he said, listen, by contract, we have to give them one more revision. They're flying in a couple of days, this strange couple, and they want to have a meeting. And I said, well, look, the only time I've got is my lunch break, and I'm going to have to show up in costume. which is how I came to have a business meeting on Beverly Boulevard dressed entirely as a pirate. I even had a cutlass hanging from my belt. And nobody, of course, on the street mentioned it at all. It was amazing. You just walk around like that. And, you know, I am not a confrontational person. I'm pleasant. I'm British, for Christ's sake. You know, I mean, we don't go in for that sort of stuff. However, dressed as a pirate, I became an entirely different person. I walked into the room, I slammed my hand on the thing. I said, "You want revisions? What do you want? Come on." They said, "Well, in the first scene," I said, "Yes, you can have that. What else do you want?" "That? Never! Over my dead body." "Next! Come on!" I just shouted, I screamed, I pushed through this meeting, and then eventually I went, "That's it! Time's up!" I drew out the cutlass. I said, "You'll get your revisions, me hearties. So long!" And I left. And apparently when I left, there was this amazing silence in the room. And the woman turned to her partner and went, "You know, he was nothing like that in New York." And they accepted the revisions, they paid us, and we never heard from them or about the movie ever again. And I went back to the studio and sat around being a pirate and eventually had my fight with Robin Williams, and which was great. It took all day. And actually, if you see the movie, you can see that fight and my left shoulder. And I called up Rick at the end of the day and I said, "All right, it's done." And he said, "So how long did you get?" I said, 5 weeks and 3 days. He said, 28 days, being paid by the day. Being different pays off. Thanks.